Hi, this is Stephen Beschloss with America, America,
Hi, this is Mark Jacob with the Stop the Presses newsletter.
and this is On Target.
And this week we want to talk about the Smithsonian Institution being pressured by the Trump regime to in effect, just give themselves over to the Trumpies, to redefine American history the way they want to. What they want to do is examine all the exhibits, all the websites. They're demanding internal communications about how they decided to do things. They're just like crawling all into their business.
Yeah,
And the purpose is to make the depiction of American history more unifying and less divisive. Well, I don't know how you make slavery less divisive. I don't know how you turn the Wounded Knee Massacre into a unifying event. I mean, the truth is, Stephen, that history is ugly sometimes. Sometimes
yeah,
it's great. I mean, this country did a lot of great things, but it did a lot of terrible things too. And understanding both is going to make us better citizens, and make us do better in the future, but covering things up will not.
right. You had millions and millions and millions, tens of millions of black black people who were kidnapped and brought to this country. We have, mass genocide of the native population. I mean, these things are real. They're not made up. This is sort of part of this mentality that we just sort of forget those things. They're somehow, let's gloss over them. And, it goes back with Trump, just to give a little context, it goes back to March when he put out his executive order, which was called, and I'm going to read the titling, Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History. Donald Trump offering us truth and sanity. How about that? And read, I mean, hear what it says. Once widely respected as a symbol of American excellence and a global icon of cultural achievement, the Smithsonian Institution has in recent years come under the influence of a divisive race-centered ideology. This shift has promoted narratives that portray American and Western values as inherently harmful and oppressive. So here we are. We've got Donald Trump and his band of miscreants, his sycophants, with their degraded depraved view of the world, who want to decide on behalf of all of us what's true and what's sane. And look, one of the stories, we looked at a number of stories that dug into this particular effort on the part of the Trump regime. One of the stories was from the Wall Street Journal, and you had a historian that they quoted from Harvard who makes the point that they're trying to push one man's view as opposed to scholarship and research. She says, her name is Tiya Miles, a professor of history at Harvard, who specifically says the Smithsonian museums have never reflected one person's view or even one administration's view. They have reflected the composite research, analysis, discussion, fundings of many different people, scholars, and researchers.
Well, right. All right. So we're going to decide to accept the view of one man, and not only one man, but one man who doesn't read books. So how are we going to be, enlightened about American history through that kind of situation? And there a lot of people disagree about a lot of things in history. I've written history books. I know that, and in some cases, I've in books I've written, I've said, well, we're not sure what happened here. It could have been this, could have been that. There's uncertainty. Not everything is known, but there are certain things that are documented. The Japanese incarceration that happened during World War II, that's documented. I don't know how that could be a unifying event. It was an event that made us understand that what could happen with a runaway government that
Yeah.
was reacting to its own fear to steal the rights of people who lived in this country. So we need to learn things like that. I mean, the purpose of history is to do better next time, is to
Yeah.
understand. And if you don't understand what happened, if you're saying, oh, there was no racism in this country, well, that's how you set a course for having more racism in this country.
Yeah, one of the Trump cultists was suggesting that maybe slavery was not such a bad thing because, well, the slaves received reliable room and board.
Oh yeah,
For example, or gee, let's start erecting again all of the Confederate statues of the great Confederate patriotic Americans, who were interested in destroying the United States of America. So it's not really hard to see that this sort of notion of sanity and truth from the regime is a complete farce. And I want to add one other note, because I went and looked at the letter that was sent out to the Smithsonian, and it does the things that you talked about, Mark. I mean, they want to look at programming, they want to look at the exhibits, they want to look at a lot of the exhibition planning, all of this. But one thing caught my eye, which was, point number 4 in their list was internal guidelines and governance, where it talks about that they want to be given all the information on curatorial and staff manuals, job descriptions, and organizational charts. What does that tell you? It tells me that the plan is to start firing people that they don't like.
and putting their own cronies in.
Yeah,
And the fact is, and this was in the 20th paragraph of the New York Times story, Trump doesn't have any direct authority over the
yeah,
Smithsonian. It's about 60% of their funding comes from government contracts and congressional funding. It's run by an independent board that's overseen by Congress. And so this is Stephen, this is the king wanting to do kingly things in something that's really not his kingdom, although he's trying to make it his kingdom. And people need to push back. And I've met Lonnie Bunch once. He's the guy who's secretary of the Smithsonian, and
yep,
he's a very impressive guy, very smart and very judicious. I don't. I mean, I feel like he's not going to take this. I feel like
yeah.
he's not going to roll over. I don't know how he reacts to it. He's under great pressure,
Well, we
but
hope he doesn't resign, that he stays in for the fight here and helps to sustain some commitment to the responsibility that the Smithsonian has to the history and by the way, to the present of our country.
yeah, yeah. Well, people need to fight back, and they need to protect. This. They need to fight against the thought police. I mean,
Yep.
history is really important to protect.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Stephen.
We'll see you next time.
Next time.